The most important person in the whole wide world is you, and you hardly even know you. The most important person in the whole wide world is you. Come on, we'll show you. Let's find out more about the things you feel and do, 'cause you're the most important person in the world to you.
Hello, 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 and welcome to One4ALLisLove with Sonya Spirit. And I am Sonya Spirit. Okay. So today is Wednesday, August 12th. Man, we are chugging right along. It's so interesting, even though, the nation was shut down and we were locked down or, sheltered in place. Time has not stood still. It's just interesting how quickly it appears or it seems or feels like it's moving. But anyway, I digress. So welcome to my live broadcast. Let's see. There's a lot of activity that's been taking place. So we'll be tying a little of current events into the spiritual or the self-healing growth aspect of it or component. At any rate, okay. So what are some things that are taking place that, of course, will affect everyone, certainly in this country? Well, Joe Biden just named his VP selection choice in Kamala Harris, and it was probably the most prudent choice, to be quite honest. But it's also a very exciting choice. So, for some folks, it's like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And I'm sure there are folks out there who feels that way, where her selection hasn't moved them one way or the other. And that would be any group for any candidate. So our focus is not there. The focus is more so on those who are excited about her being a part of the ticket. And so, just been paying attention to some of the reports. And, well, of course, she has a history with Biden. And but I think she has a lot of strength. Originally, and when I say originally, this was probably a couple of months ago, I don't think I felt all that strong about it because I felt like she was going to overshadow poor old Joe. However, yes, it is definitely a requirement for Joe Biden's VP to be a strong candidate, a backbone. This is just my assessment. And while she's certainly not perfect, and who among us are, she's certainly a good candidate to be in that position. And also, if in the event she was to get promoted, I think she could handle that equally as well. That's all I'm saying. Okay, so moving forward, I really want to start focusing in on the self-healing component. Okay, because of course, I feel like everything begins within. You heal from the inside out. As you heal yourself, of course, you become stronger and helping and aiding others. However, I also said if you're the type of person, if you're the extrovert and you just feel more comfortable starting from the outside in, at least you're moving, okay? The energy is moving. Who am I to say how somebody should approach it, okay? Because that's what the whole one of the issues with religion is because each path says, hey, I'm the only path, so who am I to say that, okay, anyway, you get the point. So I want to focus more so on, but the self-healing, of course, it's not just, look like I got some extra letters in a word, but anyway, it's not just Well, I mean, it's everything, but I mean, it's not just focusing on like your soul, but it's how basically you fit into everything. Okay? I mean, self healing, know thyself, transformation, expanding consciousness or awareness. It's all the same thing, basically, because as you heal, your awareness, your consciousness expands and it elevates. So everything is relative. Everything fits together. It's just so interesting now we are really in a season of change and transformation. And we're going to see a lot more change and transformation. I know I was talking about Kamala Harris earlier, but just bear with me. But we're going to see a lot more change and transformation, particularly over the next few weeks between now and the election, between now and the inauguration date. But we are going to see a lot of change. And that's all I can tell you. I don't know, because everything else is perception. There will always be some folks who perceive something as an advantage and those who would perceive it as an adversity. So, that's in the beauty's in the eye of the beholder. But for the most part, because we're talking about healing is always positive. So I'm going to throw that out there. Now, the experiences are not necessarily, but remember, if you're having an experience, that is your experience, okay? Good, bad, or indifferent, no matter how traumatic it may be, it is your experience, and it is there to help you grow, to help you heal, to help you grow, to help you be better. And be honest with yourselves. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with myself. And I assess myself well practically all day. But when I say that, like, I have a lot of other stuff going on, so I can tell when I have available time, because I'm already, assessing things internally as far as, is my attitude improving, okay, when I have an adverse experience? Am I handling better? Am I being a better person? Like I said, knowledge is only half the battle. So I know what I'm supposed to do. Am I applying it? Am I doing it? Am I being a better person? And if the answer is yes, then good. Keep doing it. Rah, rah. You are doing a great job. But if the answer is no, then I got to focus and put my head back in the game. Because it's all about being better. And the only resistance that exists is the one that I have manifested. We create our own resistance. That's why some people can go cold turkey, and some people need 12 steps, counseling, rehab, the whole nine. But if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. But the point is to get moving. Anyway, okay, so we're talking about self-healing. So self-healing, I was reading, and this is what pretty much what I extrapolated from it. If it could be reduced to three things: be truthful, be faithful, and grow. Be truthful, be faithful, and grow. Now, the text I read, of course, they said, do not lie, do not be afraid, and learn every day. And I was like, okay. Well, how do I change the do not? Because do not is negative. So do not do not lie became be truthful. Do not be afraid became be faithful. And to me, faithful is even stronger than like courage. Courage falls under faithful, but faithful is like is this a super umbrella. But anyway, yeah, because when you're faithful, when you listen, your faith, we're not talking about belief, we're talking about faith. Faith is knowing. So when you know, there is nothing to fear. When you know, there is nothing to fear. So be faithful. Like I said, you're never alone. God is always with you, in you, through you, around you, interacting with you. Okay? So, through other people, through thoughts in your mind, through feelings, emotions, we don't pay attention to things. And that is our currency, believe it or not. Our attention is our true currency, because our attention is what manifests reality. Why do you think so many billions of dollars pour into marketing, or has in the past? See, this is something else becomes interesting. Okay, marketing, because it's the psychology of the consumer. But the consumer is a human being that basically you are programming to purchase all the time, habitually. They're addicted to shopping or purchasing shit. Oh, my goodness, purchasing stuff. Okay, so, but it's all psychology. It's all thought. So pay attention. That's why commercials, advertisement, they are vying for your mental real estate, for your attention. That is your currency. And we trade our awareness, our consciousness, oftentimes for something menial. Certainly way below our potential. And I don't mean that in a smug way or egotistical way. I'm talking about everybody. We all have this unlimited potential. And we hear that word, and I don't think most of us fully grasp it because we've heard it so often, it's probably practically meaningless to us. But potential means that it is possible, that it has the potential or the possibility to manifest into existence, to become real, to transform from concept to concrete. Our attention, pay attention, because it is our minds in conjunction with our feelings, our emotional vibration, when they are on the same page or one accord or are in harmony, then they create beautiful music. They manifest transformed energy. Of course, that's the law of gender, amongst other things. But our attention is what is so very valuable. That's why there is so much effort placed on distracting us. movies, TV, sports entertainment, whatever you want to call it. And now, you can any subject, any category, just being adventuresome, travel, fashion, music, and everything has its own identity, and that's beautiful because we are all unique. We are all unique. We are all unique expressions of God. But no one is more important than anything else. So I always say we're all unique, but no one is special. And of course, someone said, well, we're all special. Okay, then we're all special, whatever. My whole point is we're all the same. There is no hierarchy. But anyway, at that level. But yeah, so everything is about the mind. Everything is about the mind. Everything is about the mind. Stress, worry, that creates disease in your body. Stress and worry manifests over time. And then it's also aided, too. If you're stressed and worried, you're not just meditating it out of your life. Chances are you're probably going to see someone, or you're taking some medications for something, and you may not necessarily be better in your situation. Now, I'm not saying not get help, by all means do, and I'm not saying stop taking your medication. Make sure you seek professional advice. But what I'm saying is that you can begin to heal yourself, and beginning with your mind, beginning with your thoughts, your language, whether it's verbal or nonverbal, okay? The nonverbal is emotional expression, okay? So language, verbal and nonverbal, thoughts, feelings associated with those thoughts. Are they healthy? If not, you got to put a stop to that right away, because unhealthy thoughts supported by unhealthy feelings or matched with unhealthy feelings will manifest an unhealthy an experience or disease, something like that. So anyway. Ooh, excuse me. So everything begins with the mind. Everything, thoughts. And that's all internal, folks. That's why I said I'm so pleased that more people are coming out about public health, that more is being said about it, because more of us need counseling, therapy, or just to be able to know you can speak confidently to someone without being judged. I'm sure that alone is a great, stress reliever. Just to be able to say something to someone and know that they just want to help you, heal. Now, if you got to face reality, you have to face reality, but whatever. But it all begins within. So your mind. Remember the commercial, a mind is a terrible thing to waste? Yes, because it really is. But like I said, if you look around you, that's why distractions are created, Oh, and especially, and that's why they start younger and younger with children. Disneyland, Disney World, Water World, Chuck E. Cheese, Monkey Jungle Pizza, whatever the name of these places are. Distractions, so that we can create a generation of people who is addicted to being entertained. For a child to say, I'm bored, how could you be bored? Even for an adult to say, I'm bored, how can you be bored? There is so much in life to explore. How is it that you are bored? And the problem is because we are accustomed to being entertained, which means we don't have to go out and do anything. It's being delivered to us. I'm basically a vegetable parked in front of a TV or, with earphones on or what. There's no engagement. Anywho. Yes, I'm going off on a tangent, I guess. But anyway, self-healing, paying attention. It's all about healing yourself. It's all about knowing yourself. It's all about all of these things are connected. This is not one thing or one thing after another. Knowing God. And when I say knowing God as best as you can, remember, we're expressions of God. We have no idea of God's capability. Hell, we don't even know of our own capability. Listen, we don't even know about our own capability that God has bestowed in us and on us and through us. We're not even. So let's get back to the adults who are bored. You don't even know who you are, what you are, and what you're capable of. How could you possibly be bored? Life is beyond fascinating. It really is mind-blowing if you actually entertain the thought of it. It's beautiful. It's rich in experience. And yes, some of the experience are traumatic or they're hurtful or painful. But that's not the intent. It is a part of the experience, though, and it is a part of the growth process. That's not an accident. It is our job to become aware of our power, our God-given power as creators or co-creators with God. Excuse me. So, and of course, we're nowhere near that. Many of us still see ourselves as this limited, finite human being that once we are dead, that's the end of our story. Or once our loved ones are dead, that's the end of their story. Yes, it is painful and it hurts when your loved one leaves you. But once you understand about life as best we can understand, but as your awareness expands and you recognize that everything serves a purpose, even me, even you, even our loved ones, and even though we may not know what the purpose is, doesn't mean that they don't serve one. Remember, everything isn't for us to know. Now, we can know by certainly just asking and paying attention. There we go again, paying attention. I mean, because anything concealed can be revealed. And if you ask, it will be revealed. But be prepared. Remember, they talk about how all actions have equal and opposite reaction. All choices have consequences. And the concept of consequences just means a series of events that naturally occur after that one particular event. So, it's energy. Energy continues to flow. Just because we see things in a vacuum or in a static frame, the energy is still moving. It's still impacting. It's still shaking. It's still doing its thing. Now, we just hope that we're putting good energy out there. Because if we're not, it's coming back, folks. It's coming back. Probably when you least expect it. probably when you're least prepared for it, but probably when it would be most valuable as a lesson. Remember, this system, God's not just sitting there making decisions. Oh, this person did this. Oh, this person. This is a system. And this system is sophisticated. It's all God's energy. But, God is both dynamic and systemic or orderly. Look around nature. There are plenty of processes. Growth process, rain, the whole water process. There are everything. There's look at your body, a series of systems and processes. So life is both. Life is both systemic. It is mechanical. It is organized. It is a beautiful, perfect, harmonious system. The universe, God. That's why you have to learn the laws of the universe so you understand how energy works and what's happening to it, and why things are happening to you, and how you become the authority over your energy. So you're no longer just a passerby or a bystander. You're in the game. You're partaking. You're co-creating. And that's what the age of Aquarius is all about. The outpouring of water, emotion, consciousness, energy. There's change. Change is always occurring anyway. God is all about change. That's why I said we have to get past our own resistance. We create our own resistance. God has no problem with change. None. That's why we all look different. God has no problem with change. None whatsoever. If it was about simplicity or just orderliness, then we would all be the same, but we're not. And we have different experiences, and these experiences shape our soul and our consciousness and our emotional energy. And our perception also shapes that energy. Do we take an adversity, extract some growth, some learning opportunity, some betterment, something that I can use? Discard it. Discard the experience, but keep the lesson. Grow and keep moving. So, getting back to politics, I'm not going to dwell on the past. It is what it is. So you have Biden and you have Kamala Harris. And if that's the representation of the Democratic Party, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. I think Kamala Harris brings a fire, and Joe Biden brings more of a balance. So, anywho, all right. I don't know why I threw that in. I guess that's just me shifting gears. But I think I'm supposed to play a commercial. So if I can find it. Okay, maybe not. Okay, so anyway, let's continue. So self-healing, like I said, it's all about the mind. It's all about paying attention. And as far as self-healing is concerned, you're always assessing yourself, not egotistically, not in a vain type way, and not to put yourself down. I mean, you're honestly trying to, objectively assess yourself, and this takes it takes practice, because most people tend to, when they initially start out, they either be too hard on themselves or too critical of themselves, and then you have to start kind of polishing yourself, so you'll see things about yourself that you do like, but maybe you do too much of it, or you go too far with it, and when I say that, like, there are people who, being kind, okay, be kind, certainly take the high road, but at the same time, if someone's repeatedly treating you like whatever, you might not want to engage with that person until they're prepared to change their behavior. Now, if you're in a position where you have to deal with that, then that's more of a learning experience for you as well. It's all a learning experience, because if you haven't, it's your experience. So that no matter how many people are involved, if you're having it, it is your experience. So there is a growth opportunity there for you, a benefit or a growth opportunity. So anyway, but you want to always be assessing yourself. Like I said, draft a list of things that you really like about yourself, and then draft a list, of things that you either don't like about yourself, you would like to eliminate, or feel like you could improve on, and transform it into an asset. And this is how you begin to start healing yourself. And it could be, so healing can be anything. Okay, let's say you want to stop thinking negative thoughts, or you want to at least stop trying to speaking negatively. You want to try to try to speak as positively as, like when I said, do not lie, be truthful. So you want to try to convert as many negative connotations, not necessarily negative thoughts, but, connotations, into more like affirmations, statements of affirmations. But anyway, so it could be anything, or it could be something physical. You want to stop using profanity, or, something to that extent. So it could be anything. But whatever you want to work on, be honest with yourself, assess yourself, like I said, I was honest about myself. There are plenty of things that I love about myself, because I love me, but I know I'm far from perfect, and there's some things that I don't particularly care about myself. And it's the same. And I tell you what, if you have a hard time figuring out what you like and don't like, look at the people around you. Okay, things that rub you the wrong way, pay attention to that. Okay. And things that you actually love about other people, pay attention to that, because usually these people are in our lives for a reason, and they also kind of there's usually a common denominator, or they're mirroring an aspect of us. Okay, so if you are struggling with being honest with yourself, or assessing things that you need to work on, pay attention to the people, because I can almost assure you that many of us have criticized the people around us or closest to us, even if it's just to our own self, about one thing or another at one time or another. Now, I'm not saying you're a chronic complainer, but there is something about somebody that you didn't like, don't like, or didn't care for, or don't care for. So that's another. So we're not trying to change other people. These are qualities that obviously you have within yourself. I say it all the time. If you spot it, you got it. Okay? Excuse me. So if you see it in others, that's because that's a trait that you carry as well. Now, you may not express it. It's just like a gene that we carry. You can carry genes for diseases and things of that nature, or ailments. However, if that gene doesn't get expressed, then that disease or that ailment doesn't get expressed. It's the same concept. So when I say you spot it, you got it, you have it. It doesn't mean that you expressed it, okay? But even just recognizing that you have it, because you want to be honest with yourselves, because when you find yourself in unusual situations, you want to know that you will respond appropriately. And if you're not honest with yourself, then it's going to be difficult. It will become more challenging to become the authority of your own energy. Okay, so that's just the easiest way to put it. But at the end of the day, that's where we headed. And you want to be the healer? Well, okay, that's another story. I digress. That's further down the line. But you want to be the authority over your own energy eventually, so that you can, submit your will to God. And the reason I say it that way is because ultimately that's what you want to do anyway. That's what it means to be in harmony. That's what it means to be faithful. That's what it means to be, truthful, loving. It's to be in oneness with God. So to be in oneness, you must submit your will to God. Now, the interesting thing is, all is all right, because by the time you become the authority, you will know the experience. You will have the experience. And you will be ready to submit your will to God. You will be ready, willing, and able, as we used to say in real estate. You will be ready, willing, and able to submit your will. You will want to. Because it is the epitome. So, we think about it because it's like, oh, we have control over our own will and blah, blah, blah. And that is great. That is great. The whole discovery process is great. Excuse me. All the way to becoming the authority over your own energy. All of it will be great experiences and beautiful and mind-numbing and awe-striking, if that's such a term. And by the time you reach the epitome of being the authority over your own energy as a co-creator with God, the beauty is to open up and let go. Completely. Imagine what you're capable of if God's energy just flowed through you. I mean, it does, but I'm talking about a serious dose. Oh, man. Okay, anyway, I digress. But yeah, so don't get hung up on the submission part because, listen, you'll be ready to volunteer when the time comes. Ready to volunteer. But the thing is getting to that point, becoming the co-creator. You want to get to that process. Listen, things are about to change. And I hear different things, but I don't know. So I don't know. Hearing is not the same as no. However, it is a good start. But, so there is talk about people being separated by consciousness or consciousness being separated by levels, which is interesting. That's why I said this is all hearsay. So that's why I laugh, is because I'm just repeating it. Like, I've never researched any of this stuff. This is just stuff you might read or hear or somebody might say, and it's like, oh, okay, that's interesting, but you keep going. But we don't know what the age of Aquarius, at least I don't know what the age of Aquarius is all about, so I don't know what the expectation is, I mean, I know that there's definitely going to be a shift in consciousness, but how does it affect everyone? I'm not sure. Is everyone, will everyone be elevated, or you got to work at it? Consciousness is always growing anyway. Consciousness is growing just like, think of your body. Consciousness is like the body. Think of your body. You didn't really do a whole lot to grow your body. It required very little participation, pretty much nourishment, eating, drinking water, air, the basics. But other than that, it pretty much grew based on the programming, the DNA, and environmental factors, okay? But it wasn't anything you did in particular. Like, you didn't wake up and do exercises or, some magical whatever. You grew, period. We all do. It just happened. So consciousness is the same way. And with each generation, consciousness, of course, is elevated and expanded. Like, part of what's going on in the world today is you have, like, we talk about generations. They name the generations, the baby boomers, Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z, the millennials. So, of course, the baby boomers are the oldest group, I think, for the most part, 46 to 64. Well, they're not the oldest group, because 46 to 64, 46, if they were born in 1946, that put them at 74. So they're certainly not the oldest group. But anyway, they were the largest group, I think, until the millennials. But the baby boomers is that old century way of thinking, okay? The early 1900s, up until, it was like 46 to 64. So up until, was it Martin Luther King passed? No, King was 68. Anyway, now I sound like Trump. Okay, I shouldn't have said that. But my point is this. Their consciousness is different. The baby boomers' consciousness is different than the ones that the babies are being born with today. Now, does that mean that, that they're slower? No, because, even though your consciousness grows with or without you, it can also grow a lot faster or healthier with your aid, okay? And it can grow a lot slower or deformed with your resistance. So, that's why it's all about what you pay attention to, what you feed your mind. We're so preoccupied with what we feed our body, but our mind, it's mind over matter. Oh, and I said I was going to do it, and I still didn't do it because I have been tremendously busy with work for the past week. Anyway, but I wanted to have the story ready that I keep referring to, but I can never fully tell because I don't know the whole full story, or at least not the details that I want. But anyway, it has to do with a ship captain and a shipwreck, and I think it was up in the Arctic, and all they had was ice and basically seawater, but they managed to live greater than 3 days. And when they were asked about it, that they imagined that the seawater was fresh water. And the reason I want to find this case study is because it goes back to mind over matter. So it doesn't, and the point I'm trying to make is we're so preoccupied with food and what we put inside our bodies. We waste our mental energy thinking about that foolishness. Because, as it states in the Bible, which I know is a book, but, no weapon formed against us shall prosper. We have to remind ourselves of these things, okay? We are not weak. We are not helpless. We are just the opposite. We are powerful. We are strong. We are mighty. We are godly. We just have given away our power. We have bought into that we are limited, that we are these physical beings versus these limitless souls. We have to take back our power and become the authority over our own energy. And God will help us. God will help us. Okay. Anywho. Now for me, like I said, the journey begins within, because God is within. God is within, God is without. But internally is the creative factory, is the processing plant, is the raw materials. Everything on the outside, yes, it is still godly, but it is the product, the end result, the output. It's actually the beginning of death. The physical manifestation is the beginning of, death, because as soon as it's born, it begins dying. Well, it's interesting because for humans, we say it slightly different because we grow to a certain extent, then we start to decay. But as soon as something reaches its climax, yes, then it begins dying. So, anywho, before someone says, that's not true. So, yes, we're born, we grow, we reach a climax, and then we decline. And the death part is just the transformation of energy. So death, we think of death as this termination, the end, it's over, and it's not. And it's not. Yes, that particular aspect of being may no longer reside or be physically available. But nothing is truly dead. Everything gets registered. That's why there's no hiding place. That's why, privacy it's an illusion. There's no hiding place. And anyway, but getting back to self-healing, which goes back to there's no hiding place. That's why you just have to work on being honest with yourself, making the necessary corrections. It's going to be an ongoing process, not because change is slow. It's because you got a lot to work on. I have a lot to work on. So, as you polish one aspect of your being, then you work on something else. Work on something else. And then as you grow, things will, your life will unfold as it should. It's unfolding as it should now. So if you're listening to this or you're on the path, stay on the path. You're on the right journey because you can't escape the calling. That's the interesting part. You cannot escape the calling. I was just thinking about earlier today, it was over the weekend. I was thinking about how I've always been drawn to spirit, so to speak, spirituality, God, whatever you want to call it. And but I never really thought of it as like religion or anything like that. It was more so like, I don't know, first trying to just figure out what God was or who God was, and then as you begin to learn and truth is unfolding, it's like, wow, this is not what I thought. Well, this is not what I was programmed to think, and then it becomes even more interesting. And then you start to fall in love with knowledge and knowing. But knowledge is only half the battle. And I say that all the time because I'm really talking to myself. Because I love information, knowledge, wisdom. Wisdom, of course, being the application of the knowledge. But I have to remind myself that, collecting data, information, knowledge is, once again, only half the battle. If it is not being applied, if it's not being utilized, then we're not living up to our potential. So, and I don't really want to say anything bad about it, but because the most positive thing that you could really say about it is, remember, we're always recycling until we get to where we ultimately want to be, which is oneness and submission to God, or oneness through the submission to God, whatever you want to call it. But until we get to that stage, we're going to keep returning. And we pick up where we left off. And just knowing that alone, you want to do as much as you can. It's like basically you're talking to yourself. Listen, self, I want to help you as much as I can right now so that, when we come back, hopefully we're a lot further along. And so I'm not talking about physical stuff, because physical stuff you really can't take with you. And even, they talk about knowledge and wisdom wisdom you do, because wisdom is within. But, even just like as far as just collected information or knowledge, how that it won't bear any fruit, after this lifetime. But now, wisdom, of course, you do hold on to it because you have the benefit of an experience to go with it. So, there's more tied to it. So we just have to be mindful that we want to help our own self. When we talk about self-healing, we want to be active participants in our own healing. God is working on healing us anyway, because that's all about reconciliation. When we talk about karma and stuff like that, or cause and effect, that's God's system, perfect system of helping people heal. So you have this experience. What goes around comes around. It's not a punishment. It's a reconciliation, so that you learn and grow from your misstep, okay, or your ripple effect in terms of disharmony. So when people call God a punishing God or vengeance for, those are people's words. So they're coloring God with their own lens. But anyway, and people might say, "Hey, you're doing the same thing." Yeah, maybe I am. You know what I mean? But I'm trying to be as objective as possible because I'm more interested in the truth. The absolute truth. Now, does that mean that's what I always get? No, because I do have my own filter, and it will get in the way. But the beauty of continuous learning and growing is the way you thought yesterday, may not be the way you think tomorrow, because once you have new information, it may change the way you think and feel about a certain type of thing. And that is a part of the growing process. So there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. That's not waffling. It's growing. It's a difference. So now when someone's answer is always tailored to accommodate whoever their audience is, that's a different story. But people are certainly allowed to change their mind, and they're actually encouraged to, because that's a part of the healing process. But you want to focus in on truth, on the beautiful aspects or the godly aspects or characteristics of life, so that you can always be moving in the right direction, that forward moving direction of creativity and Christ consciousness and being kind and patient and appreciative and compassionate towards one another, becoming a community. We want to become a collective conscious community of people who are supportive and encouraging of one another and each other, and yeah, that sounds pie in the sky-ish, but it can also happen, because all we have to do is put that energy out there and keep putting it out there, that this is the world that we want. We want there to be more inclusivity. We want everyone to feel like they are valued, they have worth, they have something to contribute. No thoughts or contributions are too small. That's what life is all about. Look at nature. Look at life. All the many different species of trees and grass and plants and animals. Now, of course, animals respond to our level of consciousness, so that's why they behave the way they do. Once we grow up, so will they. So we can't blame animals for anything because they're just a reflection of our consciousness, our conscious energy. Not necessarily our consciousness, our conscious energy, the vibration, okay? Because they do have their own conscious, but it is subject to our vibration level. So, anywho, so yes, moving forward, we want to focus on self-healing. So I want to go back, not necessarily go back because it's really moving forward. I'm sure I'll continue to talk about current events as they unfold, but I really don't want to get bogged down on either side of politics. Like I said, I'm pleased with the Biden-Harris ticket in terms of representing the Democratic Party. I'm sure black women in America will certainly galvanize and support the Democratic ticket. But Kamala Harris is interesting because she has an Indian mother, a Jamaican father. She went to his HBCU. She's an AKA. So she certainly, when I found out her mother was Indian, I thought that was just so interesting because Indians have a different mentality. They have a different mentality. Not that it's bad, because as you can see, they certainly have a great work ethic in terms of their top of the game in engineering, medicine. So yeah, I didn't mean, I don't mean that in a negative way. But she's embraced by many facets of society. And I think that's what is certainly helpful for the Democratic ticket. Because, immigrants can see themselves in her. She's a daughter of an immigrant parent. So, people of immigrant descent, they can certainly see themselves in her. And, I mean, truthfully, isn't that the American dream? Her parents split at 5 years old, and she still went on to be a success story. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we only have 90 seconds left, less than that now. But anyway, thank you so much for listening. I greatly appreciate your time and attention because paying attention, believe me, your currency, your mental activity, your attention is your prize commodity. So do pay attention to what you pay attention to. All right, I love you. I will be here next Wednesday. Check out my Facebook page to see what the topic will be. But anyway, in the meantime, until then, next Monday, August 17th, I'll be on the Alchemy Sisters show. It is Monday at 7:30 Eastern time, or is it 7 o'clock? 7:30 Eastern, 7 o'clock Eastern time, but it's the Alchemy Sisters, and that is August 17th. So, yes, check me out. I will be a guest on that show. And that's how I got my start, so it'll be a 1-year anniversary. All right, I'm done. Until next week, love you and goodbye.